I think the inquiry has lost all credibility now, as has Jess Phillips.
Surely she has to step back and say, you know what, in order to save and help these survivors, I'm going to step aside and let somebody else come in who they trust. She's attacked the millionaires, the super rich.
Yeah.
Now she's going for the middle classes. Who's next on the tax raid, you think?
She's attacking all the people who've done everything right. You know, she's attacking the people who have been sensible throughout their lives, who have bought houses, who have saved, who have got a private pension, who have put money away. They don't want to be a burden on the state and never have been, in fact. He thinks that he's the one who's been persecuted and that these girls have caused them a lot of trouble and that Epstein's caused them a lot of trouble. He doesn't see his part in all of this.
Strong views, no spin, and a double shot of common sense. Welcome to the Daily Expresso. I'm JJ Anisiobi, and today I'm joined by the wonderful Express columnist Carole Malone.
I'm waiting for the insults.
No, I'm just saying.
We get one wonderful, and then what's coming?
I'm just saying,
the wonderful,
you're wonderful,
ancient, decrepit. Carole Malone.
No. I think I genuinely think you're wonderful. And I saw there's some costumes for Halloween. People have got.
Here we go.
Here
it comes.
They've got these witch costumes.
Yeah.
Malone.
You should put one on. In fact, you don't need a costume, darling. I was waiting for it. I bet before you come to this every week, you think, okay, how can I get it?
I've got a team of comedy writers
what
working
can I say about her age? By the way, I met. You remember Graham Linehan, the comedian who
yes.
thing? I met today. He's doing a new sitcom.
Really?
Yeah, he's been uncancelled. He's doing a sitcom in Arizona.
Fantastic.
So I met his co-writer today, and they're both living in Arizona currently, both writing it. So that's going to be on our screen soon, I hope.
Are they looking for a handsome, dashing leading man?
They are, but they've bypassed you. I did mention your name, but anyway.
Carole, what's been on your mind today?
Well, do you know, I've just seen, on the way here, I just found this story from The Guardian. I don't often read The Guardian, as you'll be well aware.
Why reading that for?
But this is because this is where the story is on The Guardian. And it says, a man sent back to France under the one-in, one-out scheme has come back. Now,
wow.
Why did we not know that was going to happen?
Yeah.
So when we take them out and deport them, put them on a plane, why do we not realise, Keir and his mates, why do they not realise that they're just going to get on another plane or a boat and come back?
Yeah.
So he's come back
crazy.
because he's claiming that he was a victim of modern-day slavery in Calais.
In Calais?
Yes. So he's obviously got a good lawyer and he's obviously got lots of money because this will be his second illegal crossing. So like a $4,000 a pop.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot of money.
I can't afford a $4,000 trip.
Neither can I. No.
Flipping heck.
So, wouldn't you think he should just get a job on whatever country he lands in? He'll be fine with all these savings he had.
You think so? Well...
But I mean, it's just, that scheme was never going to work. It was obvious it was never going to work.
Back to the drawing board.
But, well... I mean, hello. It's not as long as Labour's in power. There's no back to the drawing board.
Right, let's start properly with a big one that has dominated proceedings in PMQs today. Keir Starmer has insisted the grooming inquiry will not be watered down after Safeguarding Minister Jess Phillips faced demands to quit. The calls for her resignation came after she denied that the government had considered broadening the scope of the inquiry to include other types of sexual abuse. Real victims who have now withdrawn from what they have called a toxic process are calling for Phillips to go, claiming she had accused them of lying about efforts to water down the probe. This came after she used a speech in the Commons to say it is untrue. The government is seeking to dilute the focus of the inquiry, insisting its scope will be laser focused. Now, Fiona Goddard, who was abused by gangs while living in a Bradford children's home, replied with this social media post. Jess Phillips should resign. Today she publicly called me a liar to the whole nation when she knew I wasn't lying. I'm a grooming gang survivor who has been called a liar her whole life by public services and councils to try and cover up the horrendous abuse they let happen to me as a child. She has now just done the same as they did to me for years, all to save her own skin. How can she continue to be Safeguarding Minister for Women and Children? Carole, Fiona Goddard asks a good question. Horrible, horrible feeling that this woman was abused as a child, went and complained about things and tried to whistleblow about the crimes that happened to her, was told that she was a liar, was ignored, and now, as an adult trying to make a difference, she's again facing the same scrutiny.
First of all, I just want to talk about these two of these victims. It's Fiona Goddard and a lady called Eliane Reynolds. Do you know, I hear them speak, and they are incredibly smart women. I look at them and wonder what they could have made of their lives, what what opportunities could have been open to them had all this crap, I'm going to say it, not happened to them. It's anyway. I mean, they're impressive women, and that makes it all the more galling that they feel that they are being manipulated. They feel that they're yet again. Their voices are not going to be heard. I mean, Fiona Goddard was on a show I was on the other night, and she was talking about how the inquiry is trying to downplay the ethnicity of her rapists, and she's just saying, this was intrinsic to the whole problem. This is the reason their ethnicity is the reason why the authorities, why the police, the social services, why councils try to cover it up for so long. It is a vital component of this investigation, and yet Labour and this inquiry are trying to cover it up. And I think after what's happened over the past 2 days, I mean, good on these women. They have found their voice. They have found strength to say, no more. This is not going to happen to us anymore. And I think the inquiry has lost all credibility now, as has Jess Phillips, because she is saying that. Because what these girls also said was they were trying to broaden the remit, not them, the inquiry was trying to broaden its remit by looking at all forms of sexual violence and sexual exploitation. That's not what this inquiry is about. This inquiry is specifically about the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs. That's what it's about. And they're trying to make it about all abuse. Now, again, these girls are being failed. And again, when I was, younger, I was covering these stories in Rotherham and Rochdale. And, the major thing that hit me at the time was the establishment trying to cover up the ethnicity of these vile abusers. And 15 years on, they're still doing it. Yeah. And it's which tells me Keir Starmer does not want justice for these young women. He's not interested because now 3 victims have walked out of the inquiry. And not least because they wanted the chair of the inquiry. This is how disorganised it is. 4 months on, they haven't even got a chair yet. But so disorganised is it that they wanted to put 2 people on the shortlist, a former police chief and someone from social services. 2 of the institutions were at the heart of the rot of all of this. Yeah. How can those people be independent? It's like putting a fox in charge of the hen house. It's like asking people to mark their own homework. How can they possibly be independent? It should be a judge-led inquiry, and he should have statutory powers. He or she should have statutory powers, and it's not going to happen. So it hasn't started yet, not properly, and already it's in chaos and in a mess.
Now, if these women, these survivors, are calling for Jess Phillips to resign, surely if Jess Phillips thinks that she is there championing women and trying to safeguard women and children, and the people who have been victims are saying you're not the person who's going to be able to help us, surely she has to step back and say, you know what, in order to save and help these survivors, I'm going to step aside and let somebody else come in who they trust.
I'm kind of betting she would. But, it is a great Jess Phillips is a great sadness to me. I've known her for many years, and I used to really admire her because I believed that she believed what she said. She was one of the few politicians who believed what she said. And I've seen her in the last election where she only narrowly won her seat, which is in a predominantly Muslim community. And she's doing what she's doing now to hang on to her Muslim vote in that community. And I believe in doing that, she is letting women down, and she's certainly letting these women down. And I saw her speak in the House of Commons. That was yesterday or the day before, and she looked out of control. I mean, to me, it looked like a woman who knew it was all over for her. She was almost shouting. I mean, shouting in the Commons, but it's a big letdown. I'm sure these survivors. And I love the fact they call themselves survivors, not victims. Yeah. I'm sure these survivors believed she was going to be their champion. And instead they see she's part of an establishment that does not want to bring justice to these abused girls. And I don't see how it can recover now. It's going to cost millions of pounds that we don't have. It's going to take years to get completed. And I don't have one shred of confidence that it's going to achieve anything for these victims. I said victims, I didn't mean it. Survivors. Sorry.
Right. Last week, when Carole joined me, we started by talking about Rachel Reeves, and I'm afraid we're going to have to delve back into it because It has emerged that she is planning a £2 billion tax raid on middle-class professionals such as lawyers, accountants and family doctors. Now, with inflation figures bringing more gloom this morning, the Chancellor has conceded the economy is not working as it should. And guess what she blamed once again? Brexit. To plug a black hole in public finances, she's now eyeing a charge on people who use limited liability partnerships. Ending the system could apparently generate £2 billion a year, but would deliver a heavy blow to thousands of well-paid middle-class professionals. For example, if a solicitor draws the average £316,000 a year from a partnership, they would face an additional tax bill of 23 grand. Carole, how many more tax grabs can she conjure up?
Well, you know that this government is in deep trouble when it reaches out to blame Brexit, a vote that happened more than 10 years ago, and to use it as a scapegoat now for her own catastrophic mistakes. I mean, this woman's been in power for 40 months, and she inherited one of the fastest growing economies in the G7, and now we are 3 trillion in debt. Where the cost of borrowing, the cost of paying off the borrowing is 100 billion quid. We're not paying anything off. That's just servicing the debt. In the first 6 months of this year, we're now 11.5 billion more in debt now than we were in January, so from January to September.
Right.
And she has done it. This is not Brexit. This has got nothing to do with Brexit at all. This is to do with the decisions that she has made. The catastrophic decisions about national insurance have led to businesses closing, has led to unemployment rocketing, inflation is soaring. Bank of England have already said, forget any more interest rate cuts this year. People with mortgages, bad news. And this is a woman who was fiscally incompetent, and yet she is still in charge of our economy. And, she's about to hit the people in her budget, that pay, the top 1% pay more than 30% of all the tax that is gathered in this country. And she's going to try and cripple these people. And I just don't know how they don't get it. The trouble is they are pathologically addicted to public spending. They don't understand. They have borrowed something like 100 billion quid this year. So they should have cut the welfare bill. They should have cut public spending, the public wages, public service wages. Instead, they did the opposite. They gave them pay rises with money that we just don't have. And until they learn to cut public spending, this is just going to get worse and worse and worse. We know that the millionaires, the rich people have fled, the non-doms have fled. What's the stat? Millionaires leaving every 45 minutes. Companies like AstraZeneca, companies like, what's the other one? GlaxoSmithKline, they were going to invest here. They're going to invest billions in this country. They've taken their business to America now because they don't trust her. So, it is terrifying, and she's going to do it again. And none of the stuff that she's going to do in the budget is going to make a damn bit of difference to the debt that we're in. It's just not. It's tickling around the edges. It's going to be servicing the debt. And I just, her satisfaction rating is currently languishing at something like minus 56%, as is Starmer's, which is why she pulls something out of the hat like, oh, let's blame Brexit. And it's interesting that she's never mentioned Brexit before now. In the 14 months she's been about, she's never mentioned Brexit once until some recent polls suggested that people were having a bit of buyer's remorse, which is a bit stupid when you think about it, because, people are forgetting that, that we became independent 5 years ago, round about the time that a little virus called COVID took hold of the world and wrecked almost every economy around the world. But in terms of what Brexit has done, I mean, we kept hold of all the trade deals we had. They kept on rolling on. We've made many more trade deals: US, India, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. Things are kind of cracking on. We're in better shape than most of the European countries. We're certainly in better shape than Germany, certainly in better shape than France. Italy's economy has grown something like 0.7% since 2008. So why would we still want to be part of a failing bloc? And yet this is all she's got. Oh, she also blamed Maggie Thatcher, remember? She said it was her fault as well. Maggie, who hasn't been in power for 35 years, but there you go.
Well, it's predicted next year we're not going to be doing so well, apparently.
What do you mean next year we're not doing very well this year?
And some of these trade deals that we're saying, we've got this trade deal with Japan, one with Australia, I don't think they're great deals for us. We've got some deals, but they're not saving
deal
our
that
bacon.
is very good is the India deal. That's a very good deal for us. The US deal is not great, but it's the first time we've had a deal, and it will get better. We're the only one of the only countries to get a deal from Trump at a time when he's throwing tariffs at everybody else.
Also, if you're earning 316 grand a year and you're being charged an additional 23,000, I don't earn anywhere near that. I think I'd be okay with that.
To be honest, it's not going to kill you, is it?
Yeah.
It's not going to. But the bottom, it's the attitude of the left. Let's attack the rich. They're not going for the 9 million people that are languishing on benefits who are perfectly able to work and have decided that they don't fancy it. They're not going for the 2 million young people who've decided they don't want to work either because it's all too stressy. So these are the people that she should be going for, but Labour never will.
Yeah.
Everyone is a victim in Labour's eyes. Everyone who says I'm not I'm not well, you just go and have a nice lifetime on the dole.
So
fine.
She's attacked the millionaires, the super rich.
Yeah.
Now she's going for the middle classes. Who's next on the tax rate, you think?
Well, who else? Who was left? If she goes for the middle and the upper, well, most of the upper have gone. They've taken the money out of
and the
country.
farmers. She went for the farmers too.
And it'll be pensioners again, and it'll be she's attacking all the people who've done everything right. She's attacking the people who have been sensible throughout their lives, who have bought houses, who have saved, who have got a private pension, who have put money away. They don't want to be a burden on the state and never have been, in fact. So she's attacking all the people who've done it right instead of attacking the people who are doing nothing right and sitting on their backsides watching daytime TV, and maybe even us. But it's... The priority is wrong, This is what what her and Starmer are perpetrating isn't socialism. This is just, it's kind of the politics of envy. And it is just, I don't know how we can do another 3.5 years of this. I don't know how this country will survive it. She's been in America that's been blaming Brexit. I mean, how stupid does she think she must look to people who actually understand the economy and who know what she's done? And she's standing there saying, "Oh, it's all hunky-dory," but it is Brexit's fault.
I wouldn't mind her going after people who are earning 300 odd thousand a year if she was going to say to the royal family, "You lot are now going to start paying your taxes too. All these palaces you inherit, all the land you inherit from when the monarch dies, let's start charging those people as well."
I think the royal family do pay tax.
No.
Are you sure they don't?
I'm sure they don't pay tax. Especially on, there's no inheritance tax for them.
There probably isn't inheritance tax. I can see why people might look at the royals and be a bit hacked off, but let's not forget what the royal family actually produces for our country. It brings in billions every year
in tourism,
in trade and tourism.
Oh, okay.
Literally billions. So, but I can see the optics aren't good. I can see when you have an idiot like Andrew, lounging about in a 30-bedroomed mansion in Windsor, having contributed sod all to anything in this country. You can see why people would be cross and be angry and feel that this system is wrong. And I mean, I don't know. We're going to talk about Andrew in a minute, I guess. But I can see why that looks wrong. But I like the monarchy. I think it is very good for this country. People who come from abroad are in awe of our monarchy. They're in awe of everything that that it does, and the pomp and circumstance. You saw Trump when he was here. He was like, he's beside himself with it. And every world leader who comes here, you can see it.
Yeah,
it makes our little island look big and important on the world stage, and that's pretty good when you're in the state that we're in right now.
Yeah,
it's good to look a bit important.
Let's talk about Andrew, actually.
Yes, that awful, pudgy, self-important, self-indulgent, I can't say indulgent idiot.
Well, Prince Andrew is facing more pressure to leave his royal lodge after it was revealed he ain't paid rent for 22 years. Andy, who dropped the use of his royal titles on Friday, has lived at the 30-room Windsor mansion for over 2 decades. However, while it was always believed that the King's brother was paying rent on the property, it has emerged that this is not the case. Instead, that privileged prince pays a peppercorn rent per annum if demanded, after paying an initial £1 million when signing the lease for the home in 2003. He also agreed at the time to spend £7.5 million on urgently needed renovations for the Crown Estate property. So he lives in this 30-room mansion, 7 bedrooms,
Yeah.
just him and Fergie knocking
Yeah.
about the place.
Yeah.
Surely it's time this buffoon left this lap of luxury.
It absolutely is. But I'm just kind of, I do feel sorry for Charles in all of this.
Oh, phew. I was going to say you feel sorry for Andrew. I was going to
No,
throw you out.
No, I feel sorry for Charles because what can he literally do to get him out? I mean, he can't send in a group of burly people and shove him out. You can't do it. He's asked him to leave already. If you remember last year, he offered him Frogmore Cottage, which is the cottage that Harry and Meghan spent £2.5 million renovating. So it's not a dump.
Yeah.
He's not asking him to go and live in a one-bedroom
But
flat
Andrew
somewhere.
said the ceilings are very low and that the rooms aren't big enough for him.
Well, if he was smaller, maybe they wouldn't be quite so low. But And the reason he wants to stay there is literally because he's got nothing left. He's been stripped of almost everything now.
Mm-hmm.
All his titles have gone. His credibility went a long time ago. Respect for him went a long time ago. So the only vestiges of the fact that he is royal is Royal Lodge. That's him living in a castle, a palace. He must be being funded by Charles because I can't see where his money is going to be coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So Charles is on the horns of a dilemma here. First and foremost, he's still his brother. And although you might think he's an idiot and a twerp and all the rest of it, he's still his brother. He has the same problem with Andrew as he does with Harry. But here is Charles is doing sterling work as king at the moment, as is Wills, as is Kate. And yet it is consistently undermined by stuff coming out about Andrew. And Charles must be walking around the Buckingham Palace batting his head off the walls because, every time he thinks he gets ahead of it, something else happens. We find that Andrew was lied again about his associations with Epstein. And I think a lot of people now, they're just up to here with it, and it isn't just the stuff with Virginia Griffith, which is bad enough. Mm-hmm. There's a whole lifetime of Andrew, of dodginess, of all the jobs that he's ever jobs that were created for him by his mother, who wanted him to be doing something. When he was trade envoy, he used that job to jet around the world to dodgy places with dodgy despots, doing dodgy deals with them. And we know that he has been involved in money deals with some of these dictators. Yeah. So it's all of that. It's the build-up of that, and it's the fact that even after the Epstein thing, even in that infamous interview now with Emily Maitlis, the thing that struck us all about that, because we've got to remember he's never been convicted of anything, but the thing that struck me about him then and everyone else was his total lack of contrition and his total lack of empathy and sympathy for the victims of Epstein. Mm-hmm. If you remember, Maitlis said to him, do you regret having him as your friend? And he said, no. Never mentioned the victims once. And this is because he thinks he's the victim in all of this. He thinks that he's the one who's been persecuted and that these girls have caused them a lot of trouble and that Epstein's caused them a lot of trouble. He doesn't see his part in all of this, which is probably why he still wants to stay in Royal Lodge, because he doesn't think he's done anything wrong. Yeah,
but I would implore our great king to say, screw that, get out.
But what can he do?
He's the king of our kingdom.
He's already told him to get out, and Andrew said no.
Well, he's got to do more than just tell him. I think he has got to send in a group of royal guards and say, we're packing you up.
Handle him out?
Yes.
I talk to people all the time about Andrew, and someone, my osteopath last night, said to me, they should send him to Scotland, to Sandringham, whatever, and let him muck out the horse. And I'm going, well, how do you make him do that? The guy is an entitled, wazzick. How do you make him do something he doesn't want to do? I'm pretty sure that even though he's lost all his titles, he will still insist that everyone around him calls him,
Prince, Your Highness,
whatever. Yeah. I'm sure. So his life internally will not really change, and Charles really has no choice but to pay his bills. I mean, what can he do with him?
Cut off the electricity, turn off the hot water.
Well, I could do that.
Yeah, turn off the hot water, kill the electricity in that place. He'll soon be going down to his daughter's house.
Disgraced royals to far-flung countries to be like an ambassador where nothing was happening anywhere.
Send him to St. Helena or wherever. Yes, something like that.
Or some island somewhere where he can't do any damage. But, this drip of poison is going to keep on coming out because he has not told the truth. And there are stories today that maybe Prince Charles knew that his association with Epstein had carried on long after he said. But again, what is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to shop him to the cops? He's trying to be king. He's battling cancer.
Yeah.
And what is he supposed to do? Tittle tattle on his brother. I feel desperately sad for him.
Yeah.
So, because I just don't see what he can do with a big lump who's not going to move.
Well, I think if Charles isn't going to do anything about it, I think when William is king, he certainly will.
I think William absolutely will. And we already know this. William has said that Andrew will not be coming to his coronation.
Yeah.
And I think Andrew will do something really severe. Charles loves his brother, even though he's an idiot. He loves Harry, which is why we've seen him treat Harry with kid gloves a lot of the time. But I think William doesn't have any of those feelings. And if he has to get in a bunch of bailiffs, maybe that's what he'll do.
Yeah. Well, in that case, bring on King William. Finally now, a Scottish woman embroiled in a fake baby scandal has taken to social media to address the shocking scam. Kira Cousins has admitted to deceiving her nearest and dearest into believing that a plastic doll was her newborn daughter, Bonnie Lee Joyce. She allegedly wore a prosthetic bump for several months before privately feigning giving birth. And then yesterday, Kira broke her silence on the hoax. In an Instagram story that has now been deleted, she confessed, "I wasn't pregnant, there was no baby, I made it up and kept it going way too far." She had shared photographs of baby scans and clips from her extravagant gender reveal celebration in the weeks before the birth. She also uploaded footage of the baby moving in her belly, plus posted about medical appointments and alleged that prenatal examinations had detected a cardiac condition in her baby. The mum was eventually exposed online as a serial liar after the baby's dad discovered that what he believed to be a 6-day child was actually a doll. And then Kira's mom found the prop in Kira's bedroom. Carole, this sounds nuts. And when I first read this story, I thought, oh, this 22-year-old needs some serious help. But then I carried on reading and did some digging, and it turns out she's actually just a serial liar.
I read it and I was laughing I was reading the first 4 paragraphs. I was laughing about it because I was thinking, how could she imagine for a second that no one was going to find out at the end game, end of 9 months? And she did introduce the baby to friends, her doll.
That's mad.
I mean, it is mad. And so the more I read about it, what I got out of it was that she's seriously not well. I mean, everything you just said there took enormous planning and enormous thought to put this all together. And is it going to turn out that she's just desperately longs for a baby? I don't know. I think she's seriously unwell. And I think, you said that she's a serial liar, but people who are serial liars tend to be seriously unwell because they're fantasists. They live in their own head, their own imagination. They conjure up situations that they crave, that they want. And I'm sorry, I'm sucking this because I'm going to cough if I don't. I'm not being rude. So I think there's something desperately wrong with her, and it's a pity that. I mean, she actually says at one point that she told her boyfriend that she was pregnant. Now, how didn't he know that she wasn't? I mean, if this was a fake thing that she was wearing, how didn't he know that? How didn't everyone around her? I mean, she must be good at it. She must be good and thorough at it. But I think at the back of this story, there's probably another terribly sad story. I mean, she hasn't done this to make money.
No. She's done it for attention, perhaps. That's just it.
Attention. Maybe it'll turn out that she's been desperate for a child. For I don't know. But, on first reading, it's funny. Mm-hmm. When you dig down, I don't think it is funny. It makes me feel for her and fear for her. Because what will the next one be? I mean, hopefully somebody is kind of, maybe social services are going to get their hands on her and try and help her. But what will the next scam be?
Who knows?
It's quite scary.
Have you ever known someone to be a compulsive liar?
I think we all lie, JJ.
Yeah, we all lie, but not compulsively.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think people do lie. I think a lot of people lie. I can see it when someone's lying to me straight away. I can tell when my husband's lying to me instantly. I don't know why he thinks he's good at it because he's really not. But I think we all lie to an extent.
Yeah.
I haven't known anyone do it to that kind of length but you do. We all lie to one extent. You lie.
Excuse me.
When your wife says to you, "Where have you been?" how many drinks have you had? You go, 1, and you haven't. We just all do it because we want to appear not perfect to people, but we just want to appear that we're doing things right and that life is good and that, So yeah, when people say, how are you? What do you say generally?
I'm pretty depressed, to be honest. I've got to do a show
No,
with
you don't. You
Carole
go,
Malone again.
No, you don't. You go, I'm fine.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
I
You're
hear
right.
myself saying I'm fine. I think, no, I'm not. My knees hurting.
Yeah.
I've just fell off a chair in a TV studio. I've hurt myself. I've just done this. But we say this stuff because we just do. We want people to think everything's okay with us.
See, when I asked you if you've ever known a compulsive liar, I thought you were going to say Keir Starmer. But instead, you went down this deep, lovely... let's do that again. Let's do that again.
Okay.
Carole, have you ever known of a compulsive liar?
Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves. In fact, the entirety of the Labour cabinet.
Perfect. We will end it there. You can go back to your lovely royal lodge and I'm going to go back to the office. That is it for today's Daily Expresso, but join me again tomorrow when I'm joined by Tory MP Esther McVey. Bye-bye.